I thank the ranking member, and I will now recognize the ranking member of the full committee, Mr. Raskin.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. I appreciate it. The call for a census in Article 1 of the Constitution plays an essential role in our democracy, guaranteeing for centuries that there will be an appropriate allocation of House seats and districts of equal population within each state. President Trump's extraordinary mid-decade partisan gerrymander offensive has hit major roadblocks recently in California, in Utah, and in federal court in Texas. But his forces have continued on their path of destruction and are now targeting the 2020 census itself as a way to tear up the political map of the country. This week, President Trump released this telltale statement on social media. This all began with the rigged census. He said, "We must keep the majority at all costs. Republicans must fight back." So what a syllogism we're offered. Because Trump must keep the majority at all costs, therefore the 2020 census was rigged. This is lunacy. It's like saying because Trump had to win the 2020 election, he really wanted to win it, therefore the election was rigged and he won it. And that's just derangement. The 2020 census was not rigged. A 2024 report by the Government Accountability Office reviewing the accuracy of the census found that the accuracy of the 2020 national population count was consistent with the previous census, while the Bureau's post-enumeration survey estimated statistically significant net coverage errors in certain regions and states. The accuracy of the count was overall consistent, and overcounts and undercounts at the margins are nothing new. The census was not rigged. The actual institutional weakness of the census, as the GAO reported, is the chronic undercount of communities of color, which persisted through the 2020 census. In 2020, quote, in 2010, Black or African American and Hispanic persons, young children, and renters were systematically undercounted, while non-Hispanic white persons, adults over 50, and homeowners were overcounted. Are we going to have a hearing planned on that? Maybe on the same day we're going to have a hearing with the Epstein victims. I don't know. The Census Bureau faced unprecedented challenges in conducting the 2020 census because of the raging global pandemic and the government's inadequate response to it. COVID-19 significantly complicated census activities, many of which were suspended or delayed. In many states and localities, lockdowns and travel restrictions stopped the Census Bureau from accessing communities entirely. The Bureau also had to contend with natural disasters in a number of states, as well as a planning budget that had been dramatically cut by the first Trump administration. These two are the real problems that we should be discussing today. Instead, we seem to be wasting our time on a long list of fanciful, self-pleading theories that have no basis in law or history and that fly in the plain text of the Constitution. Before we assign blame for any actual or imagined inaccuracies in the results of the 2020 census, let it be clear that it was the first Trump administration that was responsible for preparing the 2020 census. And the greatest obstacle to an accurate 2020 census count was President Trump himself. He repeatedly sought to undermine the accuracy of the count by adding a citizenship question, which experts warned would dramatically depress participation, including by American citizens, and skew the results for Democratic and Republican states alike. Thank goodness that the Roberts Court thwarted that effort when it found that Trump's process was completely contrary to law, and the president's pretext for adding the blatantly political citizenship question was, quote, contrived. The Trump administration told the court that they needed the citizen question to help enforce the Voting Rights Act, and then after oral arguments, evidence came to light indicating that the request of the administration, a GOP redistricting expert, had provided an analysis showing that the addition of a citizenship question to the census and the use of citizen-only data for redistricting would politically benefit Republicans and the white community. The Supreme Court found the administration's formal excuses completely unbelievable, calling them contrived. Now, in his second term, Trump and his allies are once again seeking to weaponize the census in an unlawful way and undermining its accuracy. Trump instructed the Commerce Department to exclude undocumented immigrants from the census count, a policy that one 3-judge panel said, quote, has already been rejected by the Constitution, the applicable statutes, in 230 years of our history. The Constitution makes clear that the census includes, quote, the whole number of persons in each state to ensure a complete picture of who resides in the country. As Republican Senator Jacob Howard of Michigan stated during his introduction of the 14th Amendment in 1866, quote, the basis of representation is numbers. That is the whole population, numbers, not voters, numbers, not property. That's the theory of our Constitution. In the face of this overwhelming textual and historical evidence telling us that every person must be counted, some state officials have filed meritless lawsuits against the Commerce Department challenging the constitutionality of the Census Bureau's longstanding constitutionally mandated practice to count all persons who reside within the U.S., regardless of their citizenship status. Right-wing legal activists in Florida have also filed suit against the Commerce Department, claiming that the census's use of group quarters, count imputation, and differential privacy violated the Constitution and the Census Act, and call the accuracy of the census into question. Don't let the jargon or these tortured arguments fool you. The lawsuits are part of a coordinated strategy to give cover to this mid-decade attack on the 2020 census's apportionment count ahead of the midterms. Our democracy and our society cannot afford our constitutional census being turned into a constant instrument of partisan conflict, division, and advantage. Let's reject this dangerous direction. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back to you.